introduce our guest speaker today, Dr. Donica Moore. Dr. Donica is a women's health expert, media commentator, and podcaster. She is the host of drdonica.com, women's health information website, and of the popular podcast In the Ladies' Room with Dr. Donica. This informative podcast views topics you would usually discuss with your close female friends while in the ladies' room. And while we're on that topic, I'd like to put in a little aside that this was inspired by our college ladies' room conversations. So, not just me, but all our faithful friends. Dr. Donica has appeared on more than 1,000 television and radio shows, including, but not limited to, The View, The Oprah Winfrey Show, The Steve Harvey Show, The Today Show, and Morning America. This morning, Dr. Moore is going to talk to us about the Me Too movement. She will explain what the Me Too movement is and what it isn't. She will discuss the movement from a personal, professional, and political perspective. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Donica Moore. Thank you.
And I'm here, so it's going to take a second to get up there. Ellen was so insistent that I come here that she took out my mic cast. She's like that. Thank you. And Marcus and gentlemen. Now I'm going to stand for a second, or for the beginning, and then we'll see how that works. I will go around. Maybe I'll just use chair as a crutch. I'm going to stand because I don't want the camera going up my breast. But also because I want to be able to see everything. Yeah. And so what Ellen said is true. The podcast in the Ladies' Room with Dr. Donica was inspired by our college conversations. What she didn't tell you, the way she got me here to do this presentation today, she tell everybody what we talked about in those conversations. So, if you have a friend who's known you for 40 years, they probably have a lot of scoop on you. Anyway, I want to thank you for having me, but I also want to thank everybody at the Lavender/Shays, because we're going to be talking about a very sensitive topic. So if it gets stressful, breathe, inhale, take in some aromatherapy, and lavender is supposed to be very relaxing and soothing. So I think this is a very symbolic and emblematic token of what we're going to talk about. If anybody gets too stressed about anything that I say, feel free to give me the stop sign, or feel free to raise your hand and object. And feel free to ask questions during my talk. This is normally, if I was talking about any other topic, like say we were talking about osteoporosis, I would probably start off by saying, okay, how many women in the room have been told that they're at risk for osteoporosis? And how many people have osteoporosis? Or how many mothers have osteoporosis? And I would be able to get a sense of the temperature of the room and who we're talking to. Obviously, I'm not going to say, by show of hands, how many women here have been raped? Or by show of hands, how many people have been sexually assaulted? Or how many people have women in your family who have been sexually assaulted or sexually harassed? That's not how we do this topic. And I had to really give a lot of thought to how do we do this topic. So when Ellen and I were trying to come up with this topic, just so you know, it was months and months ago that we booked this talk, and I had no idea, obviously, what was going to erupt in the media over the past couple of weeks. So to say that this topic is timely, it certainly was timely months ago, but it's even more timely now. But I think because of the eruption in the media in the past couple of weeks, it's also more confusing. So where we're going to start with is what is the Me Too movement? What is it not? How did this all start anyway? And what do we do about this? And where are we going? And how are we going forward? And this actually started for me with a podcast that I did. I will ask show of hands, anybody listen to my podcast? Okay. Well, for starters, please do. If you have an iPhone, you have a podcast app. Actually, my show hands how many people listen to anybody's podcast. Okay, so now you have to start listening. It's called In the Ladies Room with Dr. Donica. And if you have a podcast app, if you just put Donica in the search box, it'll come right out. And it's DONNICA. They always pronounce like you. I started the podcast, if not just because of our college bathroom conversations, but because of the sense that we have this incredible sense of sisterhood and community in the ladies' room. And if you think about your own experiences that you've ever had in a ladies' room. All right, certainly raise your hand if you've had an interesting conversation with somebody standing online waiting for a ladies' room at a theater or at a bar mitzvah or at a wedding. But I also personally had many really interesting and poignant experiences in a ladies' room. The first one that I was thinking about was I was actually on a date when I was in medical school with this really lucky guy. I'm excited about this one. And I was so tired and on call the night before, and I literally, not kidding, face plant fell asleep at the table, right into my food. So I was mortified, humiliated. I thought this was the worst thing that ever happened to me in life. I go into the ladies' room to clean up, and there's a woman on the floor having a grand mal seizure. So that slipped me out of my little pity party. I also got the adrenaline got me away. And it was the first time, I was a fourth year medical student, so in my last year, it was the first time I really felt like a real doctor. You know, like out there, you're not in a hospital and trying to manage a situation. So I had that situation. I had another situation where I was giving a speech at Bruce, and many years later. And it was a huge audience, there were about 500 people. And you know, when you have the lights on stage, you see people that well. And I was talking about birth control pills and you know how great this was for contraception, but how every medicine has complications. And I talked about how there are some severe potential adverse reactions with birth control pills. And you know, I started to talk about heart attacks and strokes, and just like parenthetically. And I noticed there was this woman who was like middle-aged in the middle of the room who got up and just walked out really quickly. And so I assumed she had a baby. And then what always happens to me after talks, and it's going to happen to me today probably, is people want to come up and ask me their private questions they didn't want to ask in front of everybody. And I'll usually entertain that as long as I can until I have to go to the ladies' room. So they'll say, walk with me and we'll continue the conversation in the ladies' room. And that's exactly what I did that day. I get to the ladies' room, there's this woman in the ladies' room sobbing. And fortunately, I'm very proud of myself that I could say anything wrong. Why do we always say that when somebody's crying? Obviously something's wrong. I just went up to her and I said, is there anything I can do? And she just looked up at me and she said, my daughter was 21. And it was just way too much emphasis on the was. And you know, I just tells her, and I started crying, she started crying, like it was a mess. But what it taught me was, no matter what the topic I'm talking about, there's somebody in the audience who had this. And certainly with respect to this topic. You know, we've all heard the statistics. 1 in 6 women have been sexually assaulted or raped. 10% of all rapes are actually of men or boys. We know that every 98 seconds in the United States, somebody is sexually assaulted. So in the time that I've been talking already, there have already in the past 5 minutes been at least 5 people sexually assaulted in the United States. We know that every 8 minutes, a child under 17 is sexually abused. We know that this affects you regardless of your political ideology or your political affiliation. It affects women regardless of their age, although women over age 50 are much less likely to be sexually assaulted than women aged 16 to 19, who are 4 times more likely to be sexually assaulted. We know that this affects you regardless of your IQ. Alright, so people who have intellectual disabilities are twice as likely to be sexually assaulted. We know this affects people regardless of their gender. And of course, people who are transgender are 16 times more likely to be sexually assaulted. So I could go all day with the statistics, but I hope just those few numbers I've impressed upon you. Oh, and actually one more number. Women who have been sexually assaulted and raped are 13 times more likely to suicide. All right. So there are a lot of pressure points that have come up, particularly in the media, particularly in the events over the past couple of weeks. But the one that really upsets me, triggers me, I'll just take a hit. Is this issue about, it was 30 years ago, 36 years ago, get over it already. You don't get over it, ever. You don't get through it. And I don't have the numbers, but of course it's a very high percentage of women and men who've been sexually assaulted once. So, and of course we're talking about child abuse, that's very often an ongoing situation. So this is not something that anyone ever gets over. This is something that has long-term potential lingering consequences. All right, and those consequences can be everything as serious as suicide. I think suicide is probably, or death that happens in the event. And that's the other interesting thing. You know, we don't know what happened in many situations where women were actually killed because they don't have their stories. We don't often know in women who commit suicide what actually happened. And I was talking about this on my podcast, episode 4, by the way, if anybody wants to listen to it. I had a fabulous guest, Nancy Hogshead, our friend, many of you remember her, but she was a 3-time Olympic champion swimmer, gold medal winner, and she went on to become BethChaimChannel. So she created a separate organization, but most people don't know that she was also brutally raped when she was a college student. And she has public about it, and we've talked about this, and obviously we've talked about it on our podcast. She's amazingly open and candid about this. And so when we did this podcast, and I knew her, and we had become friendly over the years, so of course she was one of the first people I wanted to have, especially because the Me Too movement had just recently erupted. The Me Too movement is only a year old. It only started in 2017. But anyway, so I wanted to have her on, and I wanted her as an attorney to address these definitions of a lot of the terms that are just really incorrectly thrown around in the media and confused. So people don't know what the difference is between sexual misconduct, sexual assault, sexual abuse, rape, consent, and we get to all those terms in a minute. And we're going to talk about what they actually mean. But anyway, I also wanted to talk about this from the perspective of an individual and talk about her experience having been brutally raped. And I talked about in that podcast for the first time publicly about having been sexually assaulted in college. And ironically, it was the same year, give or take a few months for both of us. We were in different colleges. She was at Duke, I was at Princeton. We were both ambushed, so we had that in common. She was out jogging. I actually heard her black comedian once who interrupted like in the middle of her set. She said, excuse me, but white women, what's with the jogging? You know, like I've watched enough TV shows to know that that's what women get raped, when they're running and jogging in the middle of the afternoon. Like stop doing this. But that was 1981, 1980. Oh no, 79 for me, 1980. See, that's the other thing. This whole issue is another trigger point for me is this issue with Dr. Christine Blasey Ford not remembering the date. Excuse me? I'm lucky I remember the date today. That's not a relevant piece of information unless the date is significant. Unless you say, I remember it was my 18th birthday. Or I remember that it was New Year's Eve. You know, so there's a reason to remember the date. But most of us don't really remember the date. If you think about it, what are the dates we remember? We remember the dates of really awesome things. We remember the dates our children were born. We remember the dates. I can tell you the exact date my kid's name is. I can tell you the date that I got married. You know, that's not such a big thing anymore. But I really can't tell you the date of my organic chemistry final. I can't tell you the date I took the national boards for medicine. I can't tell you the date I graduated from medical school. Even though that was a pretty exciting day, I know the date, I know the year. I kind of know the month, but I don't remember the day of the week that it was. That's why Ellen, she remembers all the things in my class. But anyway, so that's a triggering thing. But anyway, so back to our conversation in this podcast. One of the things that was very interesting that she talked about is she said, I was about to be an Olympic athlete. I was strong. I was doing weightlifting since I was 10. And in my case, I was only doing weightlifting since I was 12, but I was not Olympic level swimming. I was college varsity level swimming. But she said, this guy ambushed me. No preparation, no awareness. He just kind of jumped out of nowhere and attacked her. And she said, and this is one thing with both of us, I was also ambushed. What both of us had in common was we had zero mitigating factors. We weren't drinking, we weren't flirting with the guy, we weren't wearing miniskirts, we weren't doing any of these things that women have been told for years makes it partially their fault or their culpability. The guy who attacked me actually broke into my dorm room and then locked the door from the inside. So when I went to open the door was locked. I had no reason to leave anybody in there. And then I was attacked. The blessing for both of us was we were both attacked by men who did not have weapons, other than their physicality. But she was brutally raped. I ironically was not raped, and now that 40 years later I joke about it because I was wearing Calvin Klein jeans. And anybody remember this ad? Nothing comes between me and my Calvins. I could barely get my jeans off if I wanted to, let alone somebody else while they're attacking me. So I was able to fight back, and I was able to fight back successfully. I was also able to report my assailant at the time. And I think that gave me an incredible sense of empowerment going forward. She did report her. Well, the question is he running for the Supreme Court? And I know it was jokingly intended. What I will tell you is no, he's not, but he's a physician. And I will also tell you there was a big case. I went through the college disciplinary proceedings because at that time we didn't think this was a crime. Yeah, so we didn't go to the police. And you were also told, what evidence do you have? He said, she said. But interestingly, he had a witness at the college disciplinary committee. And his witness testified to the committee, so like not on words in a court of law, that he just happened to be sitting outside my dorm room at the time of the attack. And I lived in a very remote area. And he just happened to overhear us having a consensual sexual encounter. That guy is somebody who may be a Supreme Court nominee one day. And I actually did look up in the college newspaper events of that time, and his name is actually listed. So we do have, if that happens, I'm prepared. We actually did have a Princeton alumni thing for the past couple of days. And there was a group of women met because the same guy who attacked me later raped a woman, and there was a video made. And this isn't a very interesting situation. Now you got me on a tangent. The video was shown to a club of over 100 men. So this is the exact opposite of every other rape, sex assault ever committed. We know who the perpetrator was. We know who the guys who made the video and who showed the video. There were over 100 people who saw it, but we don't know who the woman was. Nobody knows the woman, and it was rumored at the time that she was a student from another school. So we don't know if she knows. She apparently, everybody who watched the video said she was completely inebriated. So that's how we know that it's great, because whether or not she gave consent, she was not in any capacity to give consent. And some people said she may have been unconscious in the video. So that's a horrible situation. Why do I bring up horrible situations on a Sunday morning at brunch to a group of women? We should be talking about fun topics.
I have to give the other circumstances of why you want to disciplinary raping.
Okay. See, this is why I need Ellen. Okay. Well, there were three extenuating circumstances to why I was believed, well, actually four. In a college situation, when especially in a small university like Princeton, when they're evaluating a he said, she said situation, they know both of you. So they know who has credibility. So the university deans knew that I was not somebody who would be, making a claim like this, and they knew that he was kind of not a great guy. So that was part of it. But I also, my claim to fame that Ellen did not mention in my introduction, I'm very disappointed, is I was the first student at Princeton University ever, male or female, to have a telephone answering machine. And my attacker, despite going to Princeton University and being a junior Nobel Prize winner, that wasn't what it was called, but he won this like major science prize, he wasn't that bright. And he called me repeatedly after the fact to threaten me that if I reported this, he would do this, and this. And they were all on my telephone answering machine. So I had tapes. So the other thing is that when somebody admits that they're going to do something terrible to you if you report something, it's pretty clear you're not making up that it happened. And this wasn't a court of law, and so of course the tapes were admissible. Unfortunately, I still have the tapes, but you know that hopefully is documented somewhere at Princeton. But then the other thing that happened was I was walking across campus with a woman professor who was relatively young looking. She was wearing jeans and a sweater, and he threatened me in front of her. And then when she said, you know, back down, buddy, then he threatened her, thinking she was also a student. So then it became also threatening professor. But you're also in the disciplinary proceedings. You're allowed to bring one person with you, a faculty member. You're not allowed for parents to come. You're not allowed to have outside counsel. You know, you're only allowed to pick one professor to go with you. And the professor I had picked was my male thesis advisor. Even at that time, at 19 years old, I was very cognizant that I would be more likely to be believed if I had a man with me who was supporting me and backing me up. And so one of the things in the disciplinary committee is my assailant made up this whole story that I was making this up. And this is also how dumb he is. He's saying I was making this up after we already had a guy who was a potential future Supreme Court nominee testify that he overheard us having consensual sex. But he said I was making this all up because he had said something to my thesis advisor about me, or my thesis advisor had called, or something about my thesis advisor, who was sitting right next to me. And he was able to get up and say, excuse me, I'm my thesis advisor. That happened. So like that all worked out great. The point is, back to the point of the story, and back to how this relates to everybody, is that this is common. This is something that didn't just happen in the 1980s. This is still happening every single day. This is something that, looking around the room, we're all out of the age group of highest risk. But it's something that can still happen to any one of us. It's something that could happen to any one of our daughters. And it's something that could happen to any one of our sons. And as a mother of a son and a daughter, I will tell you, I have given my daughter every lecture in the book. I have thought about everything I could possibly warn her about. And of course, how many people have kids in college now? Okay. So you know that one of the biggest risks in college situations now is somebody putting something, a drug into your drink. So I gave every lecture about don't ever take a drink from somebody else. If you're thirsty, take a cup and go to the bathroom and get a drink of water. You know, only drink something that you personally open. I gave her every lecture. Never occurred to me, not one time, to have that same conversation with my son, who was actually drugged in a bar in Osaka, Japan, on a school trip, and he was beaten up and robbed. And unfortunately not seriously, terribly injured, except from having been drugged. And this is the other thing that we don't talk about with respect to sexual assault. I didn't hear this once in the media, firestorm over the past several weeks. When we talk about sexual assault, we're all obsessed with the sex part. We're not talking about the assault part. And what I want to say is, suppose that when we reported or talked about sexual assault, suppose we left off the sex part. And suppose we just talked about the assault part. Okay, so my son was not actually assaulted. My son was assaulted. And he was taken immediately to the police. And the police, fortunately, they'd taken his wallet, but they still had his phone. So, of course, they called the last number that he had, which of course was me. And it was treated like an assault. Because it was an assault. Every sexual assault is an assault. So sometimes maybe if we, drop the sex part a little bit, or don't emphasize that part, emphasize the fact that you were attacked and what your injuries were, and what your lingering injuries were, and what I said in the beginning about how this lingers for decades. What's the injury to a sexual assault victim that lingers for decades? Shame, trauma, guilt, vulnerability. Give me more medical injuries. PTSD is the most common thing that affects 30% of victims of sexual assault for decades. And I was talking about this in the lecture, and I was thinking in my head, I was thinking in my head, well, at least I don't know that. I'm actually getting choked up because I yelled the lavender. Not because of the situation topic. But I said to myself in my head, at least I don't know that. But then I realized every time I open the door and I go into a dark house. Excuse me, this never happened. I think I literally inhaled a piece of lavender. That's embarrassing. And does anybody have a tissue? Because now my makeup's going to be all over my face. We can't have that. Here we go. So each time I open the door, especially if I use a key to open the door, whether it's in a hotel room or my dad's house, I have to go turn on all the lights. That is kind of a lingering effect. And I never realized that. But 30% of people who've been sexually assaulted have actual PTSD. What else? What's the next number two medical consequence of being raped or sexually assaulted or sexually harassed at work? Who has STDs? Okay, that's the next one, but that's a big one. Depression. Okay, so having a history of sexual assault or sexual abuse or rape. Generalized anxiety disorder. So first depression, then anxiety disorder. Do I have any psychiatrists in the room? Okay, so I got a psychologist to keep me honest. Eating disorders. Extremely common in people. In fact, anytime a physician or a psychiatrist or psychologist evaluates somebody who's in for eating disorder, I think the first question you ask is, do you have a history of sexual abuse or sexual assault? Extremely common. What other kind of medical problems? Did I hear drug abuse? Did I hear alcoholism? Okay, substance abuse. And eating disorders, not only anorexia and binging and purging, but just overeating and binging. And eating your anxiety and using food or using alcohol or using drugs or using prescription drugs to kind of deal with the pain or the shame or the guilt or the frustration or this PTSD or any lingering issues. So I talked about 13% of women who have been raped attempt suicide. All right, a lot. When I was giving the first time I talked about this, I started thinking about the Me Too movement, which started with Hollywood actresses. So good for them. And so I thought about all the Hollywood actresses over time who we knew killed themselves. And I never asked what mitigating factors were. Think about Marilyn Monroe. Probably the most famous suicide. We know that she had a history of being sexually abused as a child. That was, fully disclosed. We know that a lot of her handlers or agents gave her all kinds of drugs, all kinds of alcohol. We don't know, though, what happened to her. Judy Garland. This is not a new phenomenon. What's new in this phenomenon is how we communicate about it and the vehicles we have. How many people are on Twitter? Okay. So please follow me on that. Twitter is a phenomenal communication tool to get out information. And in the first day that the hashtag #MeToo was used online in November of 2017, there were 200,000 posts from different women and men the hashtag #MeToo. In the first week, 2.2 million. Okay, and they're not all different. Some people post twice, 3 times, or whatever. But that shows you the power and the speed of communicating. Now, is there anybody here who doesn't know what a hashtag is? Okay, nobody wants to admit that. That's really. I had to explain this. Ellen is not a computer technological person. I've explained it to my mother. Okay, a hashtag very simply is a tagline that somebody puts on a Twitter post so that anybody who's searching on that tagline can find. So if I made a hashtag BethChaimChannel sisterhood, then 5 hours later I could go look that up and see how many people posted about this session or who posted about the sisterhood if I wanted to. So that's how that works. What the Me Too movement was just outpouring and frustration that actually was started in 2006. That got no traction until Alyssa Milano posted it in November of 2017. And then numerous actresses, numerous people in the media started telling their stories. Because what's one of the most common features of people who have been sexually assaulted, harassed, or raped is they feel isolated and alone and ashamed. And many people don't even tell their closest confidants, their spouses, their parents, their doctors, because of the shame or feeling like they will be judged, or this internalized sense of what did you do to bring this on? What did you do to make this happen? And many times as parents, we automatically do that with our kids. But regardless of what the problem is. They lost, somebody stole their suitcase. Well, did you leave it, unattended, or, were you in a place you shouldn't have been? It's always your fault. What did you do to make this happen? How many of us had our pigtails pulled in elementary school by a boy, and we're told he likes you? That's where it starts. That's our we have this conversation at our table about how do you talk to your children about these things, and when does it start, and how do you talk about privacy issues, and that people should be touching you in an inappropriate way. And what I always said is it starts when you're potty training them. It starts when you start using the proper words for their genitalia and their parts. And you're teaching the way you teach them, the same way you teach them to wash their hands. You also teach them at some point, usually when they're potty training, okay, this is private and this is not private. And obviously you're not going to give them a lecture on sexual assault at 2 years old or 3 years old. But start using the proper words and the proper terms. But by the time you get to school, you should have had a conversation about nobody's allowed to touch you in your private parts. And if anybody ever does, you tell me immediately. And that conversation has to happen at a very young age. Or sharing a story about when my son was at Temple Preschool when he was 3 years old. I went in to read a book on Valentine's Day, and the dates are Valentine's Day. And I'm reading the book, and he's sitting on the floor with the other kids, and it was this adorable little girl who was 3 years old in her hearts and flowers dress. And she clearly had a crush on him. It was the cutest thing ever. And she came over and she kissed him on the cheek. So I'm the mother, I'm sitting there right there. What do I do? I take out my camera and I take a picture because I think this is the cutest thing ever. The teacher grabs this girl's arm, pulls her away from him, drags the girl out to the hall. 3 years old, I'm not kidding. I couldn't make this up. This was in a movie of his, it was unbelievable. And she tells the girl she just committed sexual harassment. This is in 1995. And the teacher has suddenly been fired. Because also I took pictures of that too. Plus I didn't like the teacher. But I said, seriously? His mother was sitting right there. It wasn't like I was somebody else's mother. I was his mother. And it was ridiculous. That's not age appropriate. But obviously, if somebody's 13 years old and somebody comes up and kisses them without their permission, that's not consent, and that is sexual harassment. So let's get to now what the definition of these terms are, because I've been throwing them around. Sexual misconduct. We've heard a lot about sexual misconduct. Sexual misconduct is the umbrella term for everything. Anything, somebody pats you on the butt without your permission, to rape, and everything in between. Sexual harassment is any unwanted, non-physical content or conduct usually in a workplace, usually in an ongoing fashion, usually involving something about sex or sexual power or sexual dynamics that is unwanted. And I'm going to keep saying unwanted. If you want to flirt with your coworkers in an off-color way or lewd, or if you want to get together and watch a porn movie, that's your choice. But if it's with your consent, it's not sexual harassment. But if you're going along with it because you feel like you might lose your job, or you might not get the promotion, or you might not get the, your boss might think otherwise of you, that's sexual harassment. And that's a whole different story. And obviously there's a very fine line into what is sexual harassment and what is not. There's a very clear legal definition. Sexual abuse. We usually use the term abuse to refer to any kind of incident between an adult and a child, but any kind of sexual violence or any kind of unwanted sexual physical contact. And that's the same as sexual assault. So the problem with the definition of sexual assault is if somebody comes up to you on the street and grabs you by the butt, which is entirely inappropriate, and then he leaves, and as a 1 second encounter, that's sexual assault. Rape is also sexual assault. And I think one of the things I'm wrestling with, and I know there are a lot of men who've had a lot of trouble with the whole Me Too movement, but what I don't understand are the women who are undermining the Me Too movement, and the women who are not oppressing women, but are not supporting women in this. And I'd be happy in the Q&A portion to hear your thoughts on this. But I think part of the problem is because people have different degrees of severity in mind when they're talking about sexual assault. And so they find it hard to lump in somebody, patting you on the butt. So Al Franken had to resign from the Senate because he had episodes of when he was taking pictures with other women and then he patted them on the butt. And then there was the kiss in this USO tour thing, which I actually saw the video of. But that, most of us think is a very different level of severity than something that's been raped. Okay, we all agree on that. And that's why people have trouble dealing with this, I think, because it's just such a broad range. So rape is in the category of sexual assault, but rape is legally defined as requiring penetration. So the oral, anal, or vaginal penetration, and it can be penetration with a body part or an inanimate object. Easy for me to say. So rape is obviously an extreme form of sexual assault, but everything else is in there. And they're all predicated on sexual misconduct, sexual harassment, sexual assault, sexual abuse, sexual rape, but they're all predicated upon is the lack of consent. So what is consent? Consent is very simply the other party, male or female or gender fluid, agreeing up front for whatever happens that it's going to happen. And sometimes, what I've heard from men is that this is now all confusing because of the Me Too movement. I had actually a very innocent encounter, which was a great example of this. Just yesterday, at this Princeton reunion thing, there was a guy there, and there was a woman with a beautiful, beautiful orange cashmere sweater. And it was just gorgeous. And we had already hugged, hello, we knew each other. And I said, can I pet your sweater? Okay. Because it was just like that awesome. She said, oh yes. And I petted her sweater on her arm. And it was an awesome cashmere sweater. And he said, the guy who was standing there, said, oh, see, because of the Me Too movement, I would never be able to do that. And I said to him, well, this was a perfect example. Did you see the dynamic? Even though she and I were friends, and we've been friends for 35 years, I said, can I pet your sweater? And it was joking, and it was humorous, but I asked permission. The same way how many women in here are pregnant. How many people had total strangers come up to you and pat your belly? Okay, that's inappropriate. It's annoying. B, and if it's done in any kind of sexual way, it could be considered sexual assault. It is assault because somebody is touching your body without your permission. All right? I don't know of any case in history where that's ever been prosecuted. Because not only does consent have to happen up front, but then it's up to the person who was touched inappropriately to decide if this is something that is worthy. Sort of like I was in a little teeny tiny fender bender car accident, which was 100% my fault a couple of weeks ago. I just backed up into another car. I was going like half a mile an hour, and there was literally no damage to either car except like teeny bit. And he was in the car. And we did report this to our insurance company. It was I apologize profusely, and we're done. You know, there was no reason to report that. Now, obviously, if I had caused $5,000 of damage, it's a totally different story. And that's the thing. It's up to the victim to decide if this is something that I want to report, that I want to prosecute, that I think is at a level criminal, or just at the level that I'm going to talk this guy behind his back forever. And that's your prerogative. And I try to use these very simple examples because it makes it easy, and it's also something that we've all had experience with. And quite honestly, when I was pregnant, it was annoying, but it didn't usually say, could you keep your hands to yourself? Yeah, I don't need this. Some of us did object, though, when people would automatically touch our babies in the stroller, right? Because we're worried about infection. Okay. She's giving me the sign. I gotta wrap it up. So consent. What do we tell our children about consent? The best line I heard from Nancy Hochstetter in this podcast, she said that she tells her sons is that consent means the other party is as wildly enthusiastic about what you're going to do with each other as you are. And the other component of consent is you can change your mind at any point except after the fact. So, and that's the after the fact changing the mind is the issue I think a lot of people are focusing on disproportionately. That does happen, and there are women who make false claims, there are men who make false claims. In any criminal situation, that's what happens. And that's why testimony is usually given on both parts, and that's why there are usually people in authority, whether they're police or lawyers or judges who make the determination who are they going to believe. But somehow, in cases of sexual assault, we have this very inflated view of testimony not being credible. And I think that's what has to stop. So let's talk about, for the couple minutes that we have left, where are we going with this? What's going to happen in each movement, and what's already happened? What's already happened is empowered thousands and thousands of women and men to share their stories of what happened to them. And this was all, by the way, in the backdrop of this already happening on a societal level. So we had very high-profile cases before the Me Too movement formally began. So, of course, the Cosby trial going on, and the expose of all the sexual abuse ongoing in the Catholic Church. So, those two huge cases were, and then state, Harvey Weinstein was the beginning of the Me Too movement. So Harvey Weinstein's situation, and the first woman who came forward about him, is what opened the floodgates. That was the formal beginning of the Me Too movement. So I'm saying what happened before the Me Too movement. And then the other very highly publicized case was the Jerry Sandusky Penn State case. And the women gymnasts coming forward was also 2 years before the Me Too movement began. I'm sorry? Right. I promised Ellen I was going to get this whole thing without saying the T word. I was being so good. Excuse me. That's the B word. So, and that's a perfect segue back to the top. What are we going to do about it? So the first thing, obviously, is women who are suffering in silence with some issue or repressed situation or situation that happened 30 or 40 years ago. You don't have to talk about it on ABC News, but please talk to somebody. Your girlfriend, your spouse, your closest competent therapist, check in if somebody's feeling triggered by the events of the past few weeks. I am. I called my therapist, and I haven't seen her in over 10 years. I said, we need to touch base. This is really important, especially if you're having any medical issues. All right? And the medical issue could be repressed rage and hostility, which is a risk factor for heart disease, stroke, hypertension, diabetes. Am I mentioning diseases anybody has here? Eating disorders, depression, anxiety, sleep disturbances. All right, watching the news is the number one risk factor for sleep disturbances. The next thing we have to do about it, obviously, is both. But we have to deal with this on two levels. One is the personal, and then the next is the societal. And what comes in between there is everyone in here's role. And that is, we all have people in our lives who we need to have a conversation with us about. So I actually have a sister who's 10 years younger than me. And I never asked her, and I never had a conversation with her about whether or not she'd ever been sexually assaulted or sexually harassed. And so I finally got the courage to ask her. And she's actually has a very sense of humor. And she said, no, it never happened to me. I feel so left out. The flip side of that, though, I always talk about 1 in 6 women are sexually assaulted or raped. That means 5 in 6 are not. And I have gotten many emails from women who say, I don't understand what this is all about. Nobody ever sexually harassed me. What are all these women talking about? Well, you know how there's 41,000 women a year who die of breast cancer? And you know there's 250,000 women a year who are diagnosed with breast cancer? And really common? That doesn't mean if you don't have breast cancer, it's not a thing. That doesn't mean if you don't know anybody who has breast cancer, or if you don't know anybody who has told you that she had breast cancer, that doesn't mean it's not a thing. Yeah, that just means that so far, you're lucky, and it hasn't happened to you. I have not had the nerve yet to ask my daughter, because I suspect there may be things I don't really know how to deal with. And I think, and this is what I've said to Jen also, is ask the women in your lives, has this ever happened to you? One thing we learned from the Dr. Ford situation is she had not told her husband until they were couples therapy. They were couples therapy because they had a big fight about a really expensive and unattractive renovation to their house where she wanted to do the ridiculous thing of putting a second front door. And that's where therapy is really awesome. Like it came out of therapy. That this is why I wanted to do that. She probably didn't know that's why she wanted to do that. And that's an extreme example. Anybody who's ever been through an expensive home renovation knows that we all need marital counseling after that. Or in the middle of that. We should start going to marital counseling before we do a renovation. But anyway, at this point, I do want to open up the floor. How many questions? 10, plenty of time. Questions, comments, concerns, issues, things you've been thinking about the past couple of weeks. Things that you've been thinking about the past couple of decades. Yes.
So I have a question.
Just stand up. Stand up. Use your mommy voice.
How is it necessary to teach them to pass men in my generation?
I'll repeat the question. How do we educate our sons about this issue that men, I'm assuming we're in the same generation, that we had to deal with where no really means yes. Or as men who were counter-protesting at Yale, counter-protesting the Me Too movement. At Yale University, they marching around with signs that said no means yes means no. Okay. So we still have a lot of educating to do of our sons. I think that this goes along with every conversation we have with our children, male and female, from a really young age. We talk about respect for other people. We talk about boundaries. We talk about sharing. We talk about what things are not to be shared. Okay, so I always told my children, no sharing drinks. Yeah, that's something we don't share because we don't want to spread germs. No sharing peanuts because you don't know if the other person has a peanut allergy. You know, there's all kinds of reasons we don't share certain things. We talk about boundaries. We talk about how to behave in temple versus how to behave at home, how to behave in school. And we talk about how to behave with girls. And we talk about how to behave with boys. And then the older they get, and the more involved the conversations get. One of the good things about media coverage is it gives you a great opening. It allows you to say, you know, I wonder if you've heard about this on the news. Like my poor kids, anytime a teenage celebrity did anything bad, my poor kids got the lecture. You know, anytime Britney Spears was the wild child, my daughter had to have a lecture about alcohol consumption when she was 12. The issue too is you want to talk about it at a much younger age than most of us ever think we have to. All right, so with respect to children who are sexually assaulted, these kids are under 12 30% of the time. So we need to have these conversations. How do we do it? I'm open for suggestions, but I always talk about what's appropriate.
I was sitting here shocked. My son was about 15, and when he was 8, we had a stairway, which stairs up a landing and 6 more stairs. My husband used to pinch his tushy to him to move up. Well, he went to Hebrew school, and he started to pinch the teacher's behind. So she comes to the rabbi, they call him in, and we had a whole conversation with him. You don't do that, 8 years old.
Yeah.
But he was
Mimicking.
He was mimicking his father.
Yeah. And that's the one way that children learn, is they watch our behavior. So, of children who live in households where there's domestic violence, 30% of them go on to be abusers, because that's what they learned. We also have to teach our children, and this is an interesting thing too, with innocent family dynamics. Things that are innocent family dynamics. First of all, you might not like the fact that your husband used to pinch his butt. So that's a whole other story. But we all have that creepy older uncle who pinches your cheek or pinches your butt or hugs you too closely. You should never assume that it's okay to hug a child. You should always say to a child, may I hug you? Or would you like to give me a hug?
But do you think the opposite where they say,
and I'm not talking about your own child.
Where somebody would say, well, you have to kiss every relative.
Yeah, I think that's wrong.
Yeah, I mean.
So the question is about telling your child they have to kiss every relative.
Or whoever, kissing a little, whatever.
Yeah, and especially Uncle Creepy Uncle, no. I had a creepy uncle who always wanted to slow dance with me at bar mitzvahs and weddings and things. And I just said to my mother, do not invite him anymore. He's creepy. Yes.
I think we also need to remember that we can promise the adults in the room to say, she's not going to give you a hug. He doesn't want to give you a hug. That's okay.
Right. And that's the other thing. We can educate people who we didn't give birth to.
Now, I was just going to say, I think we would also talk about the workplace compliments versus...
Oh, yeah. See, she keeps me honest. All right, I was going to talk about one of the issues I hear a lot from men now in the aftermath of the Me Too movement is they all feel now all oppressed and confused, except Mark is awesome. And they say, oh, now I can't flirt with women in the workplace, or now, does this mean I can't hire women who are attractive? Or does this mean, like Mike Pence said, I can't be alone with a woman in the room unless my wife is present? All of that is ridiculous. And again, it comes back to consent, and it comes back to what's appropriate. So if I go on a business dinner with a male colleague who invites me to a business dinner, it probably shouldn't be in his hotel room. And it should be at a proper restaurant with other people around, and I should go in my own car or take a taxi or an Uber, and we should leave separately. However, if I'm single and he's single and he's really cute and he wants to ask me on a date, all he has to say is, may I ask you on a date? Simple. And then I say, I would love to, or no thank you. Or if I want to ask him on a date. That is entirely appropriate because you're asking. So every time a man says to me, well, how do I know if this is okay in the workplace? First of all, I give them positive reinforcement for asking. And what I say is, if you're unclear, and this is back to how do we teach our sons, the number one thing I always said to my son is, if you're unclear, ask. And asking should not be uncomfortable. So common workplace situation. How many people have been in a workplace situation where there's a guy in the office who comes up behind you and rubs your shoulders? Okay. Now, I personally would lie down right here for massage, because I love massage. And most people who offered to give me a neck and shoulder massage, I would probably say yes, except that creepy guy in the office who I don't want touching me. So, if anybody wants to come up behind me and give me a neck and shoulder massage, all they have to do is say, would you like a neck and shoulder massage? And then it's up to me to say, oh, yes, thank you. Or, not now. Not here. Not appropriate. And you don't have to give somebody a lecture. You can just say, no, thank you. And this sounds so much like the stupid issue we wrestled with in the 1970s about whether it was okay for men to open the doors for us or not. Which was the stupidest thing, but it's kind of a prelude to this. The punchline is, yes, if you're there first, open the door. And if somebody opens the door for you, regardless of their gender, say thank you. And if you want to have a longer conversation, you can say, nice weather we're having. And these are just normal human dynamics. One of the things we should teach our children, in my opinion, is that anytime somebody is walking through the door, if you're there first, you open it. If you can do random acts of kindness for somebody, you do it. But not without their consent if they're touching them. We were just getting totally.
I just want to share with everyone that my best friend from junior high that has passed was the attorney for Dr. Ford.
Oh, wow.
Did an amazing job. Yeah. But when I'm so proud of her. She's been a very prominent lawyer in the
Excellent.
So you saw her on TV, she was mostly cut off. She was of Dr. Ford. At one point, when they were questioning her about who paid for the holiday.
Yes, she was great.
She pulled the mic. That's the only time she spoke. She pulled the mic. She said, I'm going to put it in this. We pay for it.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, I was screaming at the television at that point. Well, in all fairness, I was screaming at the television most of the thing. But what I was screaming at the television is, excuse me, but if a woman is in the financial situation where she's a professor at Stanford University School of Medicine, and she went through this huge renovation in her house where she put in an extra front door, do you think $300 for the polygraph really was something that was tough? Right. So what was interesting in that dynamic, well, what was interesting about that dynamic is your friend grabbed the microphone and she said, I just want to let you know her attorneys paid for it. But then the male attorney felt like he had to validate that, and he said, as is customary. And what I love, what your friend did, is that she repeated that. So, yeah, this is what I'm still the attorney. Oh.
I know this is the last question, but I need to share this story.
See, and this is what happens when we talk about this topic. We all need to share.
And the boy came and said, I'm sorry.
Done.
I'm not here to plug me. I'm not campaigning for a local office.
Oh, then plug you.
Door to door, to talk to people. And I'm knocking on doors the days of hearings. This man comes to the door, and I introduce myself, hello, my name is Michelle Cage, I'm running for re-election. And he says, who do you believe? And I said, excuse me? I knew that. And he said, who do you believe? And I said, are you talking about the hearing? And he said, yeah. Who do you believe? And I said, well, actually, no, I'm running for the school board. That's not really the decision. And he said, but who do you believe? The doctor? No, he said, the judge or that woman? I handed him my material, and I said, it's very nice to meet you. And I believe the doctor.
Yes.
And I walked away. I may not get that vote, but I felt pretty good about that.
What terrific way to end. And I think that what you said that I love is I just have to share my story. We all have to share our stories. We all have to share our stories with each other. We have to share our stories with our close confidants. And we certainly have to decide which of our stories we're going to share with our children for the purpose of educating them. But I think that the good news is that this Me Too movement thing is not going away. It's a call to action. The Me Too movement is actually an organization, and CDS is actually donating $20 million to them in honor of Les Moonves and all the women he assaulted. Which, you know, is kind of like a good news, bad news kind of thing. So they actually are going to be taking very concrete steps to pass certain legislation. Their number one priority is to get all the rape kits, which are backed up in every municipality. It's horrifying how many hundreds of thousands of rape kits from women who did report, and their rapes were not, they just haven't been paid for. And in some towns, the victim has to actually pay for her own rape kit to be analyzed, which can be $2,000. Anyway, on that note, thank you very much. I'm happy to continue the conversation.
Before we lose Donna, I have a little something for her. I have a little something for Donica from the sisterhood. We'd like to thank her for volunteering her time. Thank you, Donica.
I hope it's a cupcake.
It's not a cupcake. And Donica wants to say a few words.
I was moved to speak because we're very blessed here at Congregation BethChaim to have clergy of both genders and an educator who has a background in social work. If you or someone you care about has a story to share, I hope and pray that this is a safe place for every single person in our community. So I'm feeling very touched by Dr. Donna Moore's words today, and just want to make myself available for anyone my door is open.